Hey, so today I'm going to prove that Islam is indeed just another false religion. So, Islam says that every single nation has been sent a prophet who preached them Islam. Uh, of course, this is not true. If you read history, if you read history of any region, you find that Allah is just an Arab god. Only Arabs seem to know about Allah. Um, For example, one way to test this is to see whether anything about Allah has been written, or anything about anything Islamic has been written by non-Arabs. So the way to check this is writing. Writing has been with us for a few thousand years. So we can check if anyone wrote about anything Islamic before Islam. The oldest people, of course, is Egyptians. They were writing 6,000 years ago on walls, on their special paper. Um, they were polytheists. They never had any record of any prophet preaching them Islam. Even the story of Moses and the Jews, no one recorded that. In fact, Israeli archaeology has found that the story of Jews coming out of Israel is complete fiction. These are Jewish scholars that um, have said that this story is fiction. Egyptians, if Moses was real and Jews were in Egypt, you could say, okay, that's the prophet sent to the Egyptians. But this story is not found in any Egyptian manuscript. In fact, if you do a degree in Egyptology, where you look at these kind of things, they never teach you that Jews built the pyramids. This is mainstream Egyptian history, that Egyptians built the pyramids. Jews had nothing to do with it. This story is complete fiction. Um, in fact, a lot of Christians now say this story is fiction. It's just meant there for a moral guide. It's not actual history. So, yeah, Egyptians never got any prophet. Look at the Chinese. They've been writing for 1500 to 2000 years. 1500, let's say. No mention of any Allah or any Islam. None of that. You know, not even Jesus and Moses. They never heard of those people either. So, you know, that doesn't make sense. Russians never had any Islam preached to them in their history. You know, Africans clearly didn't. They have their own weird, mysterious beliefs, which are, I mean, they have lots of gods as well. India, they've been writing for a long time. They, you know, polytheists. What happened to their prophet? And if let's just say that there was a prophet sent to Chinese and Indians and Egyptians. That means that Allah is not very good at convincing people. Allah is a failure. I mean, He fails with the Chinese, He fails convincing the Indians, He fails convincing the Egyptians. Now, you can believe these fantastic stories, but you should aim at accepting the most simplest explanation. Instead of making complex arguments and stories, you should go for what the simplest explanation gives you. And the simplest explanation in this case shows that Islam was invented in the 7th century. It never existed before that. And that makes sense. That would explain why there is no record of any Islam in anything. I mean, you can say the Bible is corrupted, but so corrupted that the original message is completely lost? I mean, you know, it doesn't make sense that it's so badly corrupted that it's a totally different book. Even, we have books from like ancient Greece of Aristotle. That's like 2,300 years ago. And we still know what he wrote. The original message is still there. And you're expecting, I mean, as I said, the simplest explanation is that Islam was just started in the 7th century by one person who thought he had the answers to things. But unfortunately, he was not a prophet of any god. Neither was Jesus. These are all local religions. We see religions forming all the time. Islam is just one of them. Islam is just one of them. Same with Christianity. I mean, to be fair, Allah should have tried harder with the Indians and the Chinese, considering that them two together make up about 2.5 billion people. Surely, for Allah, if He was real, the wisest thing would be to convince them. They would have given Allah much more success. But I mean, that's the wisdom you would expect from a God. But clearly, you don't see that, because Allah is not real, and Muhammad was not any prophet. He was just a guy inventing his religion. We see it all the time. Men inventing religion. We see it all the time. It's nothing new. Lots of people have invented with their religions. Some are more successful than others.